Disappointment was something I just held for the entire year. So many things in life I was able to check off a list. If I want to do it, I can do it. If I put the work in, I can do it. If I try, I can do it. This was something that no matter how hard I tried, I anatomically was not able to exclusively breastfeed my daughter. And that just left me riddled with this guilt. I knew I wanted to start something. I think there was always something in me. I will start a company. I have that entrepreneurial spirit. I explored many different ideas on the back of envelopes. And it wasn't until I had my daughter. And it was in that moment where I was living life with her, specifically going to breastfeed her and realizing that expectations didn't match reality. And every time I reflect back on this story, I think about the visceral feelings that I went through in that first year. Honestly, even just the first 2 months of having her. Guilt, shame, embarrassment, like curiosity. I went down a mini PhD. I found myself Googling at 2 a.m. in the morning going, what am I feeding her? Why these ingredients? Why hasn't it changed? Why is it that 2 companies own this entire industry? Why hasn't anyone done this before? And the more and more I dug, it was a realization that I actually wanted to play a role in changing this.
Can you expand a bit more on your feelings, like where they came from?
The feelings.
Yeah, like your guilt and shame and all these things, and how the experience didn't match reality.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was way more than Irish Catholic guilt. Mm-hmm. Now that I reflect, I just assumed I would breastfeed. Mm-hmm. So many women over the years that I've spoken to have articulated so clearly that they never even considered infant formula. The word infant formula was not part of a conversation with their significant other. It wasn't something they were researching when they created those checklists or the spreadsheets, of everything you needed to buy.
Yeah.
It wasn't on the list.
Yeah.
And this was almost 10 years ago. People weren't even having the conversation with their friends. So your friends or your significant or your cousins or those around you who were feeding babies, they were not opening up and saying, oh, I can't breastfeed, so I'm feeding my baby formula. So I think the guilt is all internal, starting with internal, because you feel guilty that you can't do what you expected to deliver on. Mm-hmm. And you go through life and you assume, if I want to breastfeed, I will be able to breastfeed. And as you're staying so incredibly healthy throughout the entire pregnancy, and then you go in and you think, the skies are going to open up. I'm going to put her to my chest and she's going to latch perfectly and it's going to be beautiful. And then when that experience doesn't happen...
just to take
the whole thing is going to be
that's
beautiful.
Comical just because motherhood and early weeks of motherhood are just so tragic and no one talks about it. It's sorry, continue. And how
that
the skies
feeling
are going to open up, it's going to be beautiful and so magical. It's no,
totally.
No.
And now a lot of the advice I give is a lot of it just, the conversation is more important than anything. Mm-hmm. Allow someone to go into it having some understanding of the reality. Because when expectations don't match reality, you're disappointed. When expectations maybe exceed it or match it, great, you get what you're given. Mm-hmm. So disappointment was something I just held for the entire year. So many things in life I was able to check off a list. If I want to do it, I can do it. If I put the work in, I can do it. If I try, I can do it. Mm-hmm. This was something that no matter how hard I tried, I anatomically was not able to exclusively breastfeed my daughter. And that just left me riddled with this guilt.
And so, you want to start a company.
Yes.
You have your daughter. You enter opportunity from experience. Mm-hmm. I assume you're still working at Airbnb?
Still working at Airbnb. The epiphanies are hitting.
Uh-huh.
I was going to ask the question. I was like, okay, so you walked out of the pharmacy. There was a problem with the formula. You decided to start Bobbie. No, I didn't. I went home. I fed her. I spent a year researching it. Yeah. I, lost 40 pounds and my identity came back. It was clarity for the fact that I got to the end of that year and I graduated her on this feeding journey and I graduated myself for what an amazing milestone I got to. And I was like, okay, great. I'm not going to have another baby until there's a better formula on the market.
What was sort of that moment that you said, okay, I'm going to quit and go pursue this?
I peed on a stick and found out I was pregnant with my second kid. And it was. I mean, there's nothing more motivating than realizing that, one, you have a ticking time bomb. You're like, okay, I have a few months to be able to figure this out. And I want to have something better in the market by the time this baby comes along.